Hello everyone. Today, I would like to talk about the Unin War, which was a major factor in pushing Japan into the era of warring warlords. The Unin War occurred as a result of a complex interplay of multiple factors. The main causes include the following. The struggle for succession to the shogunate. The 8th shogun, Ashikaga Yoshimasa, had difficulty having children of his own, so he chose his younger brother, Ashikaga Yoshimi, as his successor. However, later, Yoshimasa and his wife, Hino Tomiko, had a son, Ashikaga Yoshihisa. This led to conflict between the forces supporting Yoshimi and the forces supporting Yoshihisa. Conflict between powerful Shugo daimyo. At that time, powerful Shugo daimyo were fighting for power within the shogunate. In particular, the Kanrei Hosokawa Katsumoto and Yamana Suzun were in conflict as they each sought to expand their own power. Conflicts over succession among powerful Shugo daimyo families. Among powerful Shugo daimyo families such as the Hatakeyama clan and the Shiba clan, there were disputes over succession. The Hosokawa clan and the Yamana clan each took sides in these succession disputes, further intensifying the conflict. In 1467, the issue of succession to the shogunate and internal conflicts within the powerful Shugo daimyo families came to the surface, and forces supporting Hosokawa Katsumoto, the Eastern Army, and forces supporting Yamana Suzun, the Western Army, clashed violently in Kyoto. The Eastern Army included Hatakeyama Masunaga and Shiba Yashitoshi, while the Western Army included Hatakeyama Yashinari and Shiba Yashikado. The fighting dragged on, the city of Kyoto was reduced to ashes, and the shogunate's authority was greatly diminished. Local Shugo daimyo also split into Eastern and Western armies and fought each other, and the conflict appeared to be spreading throughout the country. In 1473, Hosokawa Katsumoto of the Eastern Army and Yamana Suzun of the Western Army were killed in succession, but the fighting continued. In 1477, when Aoki Masahiro, a powerful military commander of the Western Army, returned to Japan with his troops, a growing feeling of war weariness grew between the two sides, and the fighting came to an end. The Unin War greatly weakened the authority of the Muromachi shogunate and brought great turmoil to society. Its impact was wide-ranging. Decline of the Muromachi shogunate. Years of warfare had significantly weakened the shogunate's control, and Shugo daimyo and local lords throughout the country began to strengthen their movements for independence. The beginning of the Sengoku period. The Unin War was a major catalyst for the transition to the Sengoku period, a time of warring states. Powerful people rose to power in various regions, and a trend of overthrowing the ruling classes spread. The devastation of Kyoto and the spread of culture to the provinces. Kyoto was devastated by years of war, but nobles, monks, and cultural figures who fled the conflicts traveled to the provinces, and Kyoto culture was spread to various regions. Collapse of the manor system. Amid the wars, the control of manor lords weakened, and a movement for peasants to become independent spread. The Unin War was a major turning point in Japanese history and a key event that led to the beginning of the subsequent Sengoku period. Hino Tomiko was the wife of Ashikaga Yoshimasa, the 8th shogun of the Muromachi shogunate, and was an extremely influential woman who is said to have been one of the factors that sparked the Unin War. She has received both praise and criticism, and many parts of her life are shrouded in mystery, but she played an important role in the late Muromachi period. Origin and marriage. Tomiko was from the Hino family, a distinguished aristocratic family that had served the shogunate for generations. Her father was Gon Dainagon, provisional chief counselor, Hino Shigemitsu, and she received a highly cultured education from an early age. In 1441, the first year of the Kakitsu era, at the age of 12, she married Ashikaga Yoshimasa and became his lawful wife. With Yoshimasa, she gave birth to one child, Ashikaga Yoshihisa, who would later become the 9th shogun. The shogun succession problem and the Unin War. Since Yoshimasa and Tomiko had no children for a long time, he had selected her younger brother, Ashikaga Yoshimi, as his successor. However, when Yoshihisa was born in 1465, Tomiko began to strongly support her own son, Yoshihisa. This struggle for the succession to the shogunate was one of the major causes of the Unin War. It is said that Tomiko allied herself with the powerful Shugo daimyo, Yamana Suzun, in order to support Yoshihisa. Great power and economic strength. During the Unin War, her husband Yoshimasa showed no interest in politics and was devoted to cultural activities. As a result, Tomiko came to hold real power in the shogunate and became deeply involved in politics. She actively worked to rebuild Kyoto, which had been devastated by the war, and to rebuild the shogunate's finances. Tomiko also had a keen sense for finances and accumulated wealth in a variety of ways. For example, she is said to have made a profit by managing land that had been destroyed by war, and also engaged in usury. Her enormous economic power had a major impact on the running of the shogunate. Hino Tomiko's evaluation varies greatly depending on the era and one's position. Negative evaluation. He is often criticized by later historians and the general public as the person who intervened in the battle for the shogun's succession and caused the Unin War. He is also deeply rooted in the image of being greedy, power-hungry, and forceful without regard for those around him. Positive evaluation. On the other hand, there are also voices praising her ability to work hard to rebuild Kyoto, which had been devastated by war, and to rebuild the finances of the shogunate. One could also see her as working hard to support the shogunate, while her husband, Yoshimasa, was uninterested in politics. She can also be seen as a woman who demonstrated strong leadership at a time when it was rare for women to be involved in politics. Later years and death. Tomiko continued to exert political influence even after the Unin War. When her son Yoshihisa became shogun, she exerted even more influence as his guardian. However, after Yoshihisa's sudden death in 1489, a struggle for leadership within the shogunate once again arose. Tomiko died in 1489 at the age of 50. Even after her death, her influence was great, and she remains in history as a figure who symbolizes the decline of the Muromachi shogunate. Hino Tomiko's strong personality and the power to change the course of time have made her the subject of many stories and legends. Understanding her life is a crucial element in understanding the complex conflict that was the Unin War. Warring warlords is a term used to describe a situation in which many heroes and powerful people rule in different regions and compete with each other for power. Originally, it was used to describe times such as the Warring States period in China and Japan, when central power weakened and powerful people in different regions began to fight each other independently. In modern times, it is also used to describe situations in business, sports, and other areas where people with similar powers compete with each other. The Unin War was a major factor that pushed Japan into this era of warring states. Rival warlords after the Unin War. The Unin War caused the Muromachi shogunate to lose its authority, and the Shugo daimyo broke away from central control and began to expand their influence independently in their own territories. Furthermore, new powers rose to power as the Shugo daimyo rose to power, leading to frequent wars all over the country, and Japan entered into the full-scale Sengoku period. The historical background of the struggle for power. Decline of the Muromachi shogunate. The power of the shogun had been declining even before the Unin War, but the Unin War marked a decisive loss of his authority. The rise of the Shugo daimyo. The local Shugo daimyo took advantage of the weakening of the shogunate to strengthen their control over their territories, becoming semi-independent forces. The trend of overthrowing the lower classes. The trend of overthrowing the lower classes, in which those of lower rank used their strength to defeat those of higher rank, spread, and shugadai, deputy governors, and kokujin, local lords, began to rise to power as daimyo. Social changes. The development of rural self-governing organizations and the spread of a monetary economy also contributed to the growth of regional power. Representative warlords and forces of the warring factions. After the Unin War, Japan entered an era in which various powers ruled over various regions. The following are some examples of representative warlords and their powers. Development from powerful Shugo daimyo. Hosokawa clan. They controlled Setsu, Tamba, Sanuki, and other areas, and held great influence within the shogunate. The Aoki clan. They expanded their influence mainly in Suba and Nagato, and flourished as a powerful feudal lord in western Japan. Takeda clan, based in Kai, they boasted great military power and expanded their influence to Shinano and other areas. Usuji clan controlled Ekigo and fought fiercely with the Takeda clan. Imagawa clan controlled Suruga and Tatami, and had influence in the Takedo region. Shimazu clan controlled Satsuma, Osumi, and Hyuga, and established a strong influence in southern Kyushu. Rise to power through overthrow of the ruling class. Hojo clan. Later Hojo clan grew from a powerful clan in Aizu to become a powerful feudal lord in the Kanto region. Saito Dosen, he seized the title of Shugo from the deputy Shugo of Mino and rose to become a daimyo in one generation. Oda Nobunaga, he developed from a local lord in Owari into a powerful force that aimed to unify the country. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, he started out as a vassal of Oda Nobunaga, but managed to unify the country. Tokugawa Ieyasu, as an ally of Oda Nobunaga, he expanded his power and established the Edo shogunate. The era of warring factions was a time of constant warfare and instability in society, but it also brought about the following effects. The unique governance of the Sengoku daimyo. Each daimyo implemented their own policies in their own territories, promoting industry and building castle towns. Advances in military technology. In the fight for survival, new tactics and weapons have been developed. Cultural diversification. Kyoto culture spread to other regions, and unique cultures developed in each region. Movement towards unification. After a long period of war, forces such as Oda Nobunaga and Toyotomi Hideyoshi emerged who aimed to unify the country, and ultimately Tokugawa Ieyasu achieved national unification. The era of warring factions was a turbulent time in Japanese history, and had a major impact on Japanese society and culture thereafter.